We launched the Survivors Agenda to center what survivors in this country care about so we can build the kind of world we all deserve.
As a survivor and an attorney who has dedicated my career to seeking justice, the thing that I most want to see is institutions take survivors seriously and develop the systems that allow for justice and for healing.
As a survivor, the things that I care about most are ensuring that all survivors are heard and supported, no matter their zip code, immigration status, ethnicity, or any other reason.
There's power in our numbers, and an end to sexual violence needs all of us.
We are resourceful, resilient, and ready. It's been almost 3 years since millions of us raised our hands and voices to say Me Too.
Since then, we've seen incredible strides and experienced some amazing wins. We've also learned that we have so much farther to go to bring about the change we need to see.
We launched the Survivors Agenda to center what survivors in this country care about so we can build the kind of world we all deserve.
As a survivor and an attorney who has dedicated my career to seeking justice, the thing that I most want to see is institutions take survivors seriously and develop the systems that allow for justice and for healing.
As a survivor, the things that I care about most are ensuring that all survivors are heard and supported, no matter their zip code, immigration status, ethnicity, or any other reason.
There's power in our numbers, and an end to sexual violence needs all of us.
We are resourceful, resilient, and ready. It's been almost 3 years since millions of us raised our hands and voices to say Me Too.
Since then, we've seen incredible strides and experienced some amazing wins. We've also learned that we have so much farther to go to bring about the change we need to see.
We launched the Survivors Agenda to center what survivors in this country care about so we can build the kind of world we all deserve.
As a survivor and an attorney who has dedicated my career to seeking justice, the thing that I most want to see is institutions take survivors seriously and develop the systems that allow for justice and for healing.
As a survivor, the things that I care about most are ensuring that all survivors are heard and supported, no matter their zip code, immigration status, ethnicity, or any other reason.
There's power in our numbers, and an end to sexual violence needs all of us.
We are resourceful, resilient, and ready. It's been almost 3 years since millions of us raised our hands and voices to say Me Too.
Since then, we've seen incredible strides and experienced some amazing wins. We've also learned that we have so much farther to go to bring about the change we need to see.
We launched the Survivors Agenda to It's been almost 3 years since millions of us raised our hands and voices to say Me Too.
Since then, we've seen incredible strides and experienced some amazing wins. We've also learned that we have so much farther to go to bring about the change we need to see.
We launched the Survivors Agenda to center what survivors in this country care about so we can build the kind of world we all deserve.
As a survivor and an attorney who has dedicated my career to seeking justice, the thing that I most want to see is institutions take survivors seriously and develop the systems that allow for justice and for healing.
As a survivor, the things that I care about most are ensuring that all survivors are heard and supported, no matter their zip code, immigration status, ethnicity, or any other reason.
There's power in our numbers, and an end to sexual violence needs all of us.
We are resourceful, resilient, and ready. It's been almost 3 years since millions of us raised our hands and voices to say Me Too.
Since then, we've seen incredible strides and experienced some amazing wins. We've also learned that we have so much farther to go to bring about the change we need to see.
We launched the Survivors Agenda to center what survivors in this country care about so we can build the kind of world we all deserve.
As a survivor and an attorney who has dedicated my career to seeking justice, the thing that I most want to see is institutions take survivors seriously and develop the systems that allow for justice and for healing.
As a survivor, the things that I care about most are ensuring that all survivors are heard and supported, no matter their zip code, immigration status, ethnicity, or any other reason.
There's power in our numbers, and an end to sexual violence needs all of us.
We are resourceful, resilient, and ready.
All right, y'all. We're back. Welcome to our panel on Comrades and Co-Conspirators, an intergenerational conversation on survivor-led organizing. This is a part of our youth track curated by Girls for Gender Equity. And my name is Michelle Greer. I'm your host, and I'm the Senior Director of Programs at Girls for Gender Equity. We are a Brooklyn-based organization working intergenerationally with national influence, working to combat the widespread gender-based and racialized violence that young people of color experience. And we do this through direct service, advocacy, and culture change, believing that working alongside young people in this fight is the way forward to our liberation. I am so grateful to be in conversation with our panelists this afternoon to discuss the importance of organizing together across the age spectrum around our healing, survivorship, and culture change. At this current moment of pandemic and mass uprisings, as many folks from across the country stand up to say, her life matters and Black Lives Matter, it is crucial that we identify the ways in which we can support one another. What we know is that the spaces that are supposed to support and nourish our young people can also be sites of harm. Young people are experiencing sexual harassment and sexual violence. Their home, at work, and many other. They go What we have learned from our aunties, cousins, moms, and grandparents is that this is not a story, but one that is in the fabric of colonialism, slavery, a way of controlling power over cis and trans bodies, Black and brown, LGBTQIA. We have also learned how to survive, heal, and how to reach. We are now creating generations that connect space, place, and age, so we can raise our voices, say no, and build. Our wonderful they are Tara McDermott of the Fire Foundation, Najma of the Young Women's Freedom Center in San Francisco, and Vivian Anderson of Every Black Girl Inc. in Columbia, South Carolina. I am so grateful to be in community with these amazing folks today. And to get us started in this conversation, we're going to ease back and listen to the experiences, the work, and best practices of these folks. And so we are going to start with Tara Scott Miller, who is the program director of Sisters in Strength at the Firecracker Foundation. Sisters in Strength Lansing is an expansion of the Firecracker Foundation's current teen club programming, utilizing an adaptive version of the Sisters in Strength curriculum developed by Girls for Gender Equity, based in Brooklyn, New York, and is a part of the national Me Too movement. She is an alum of the New York University and has explored the intersections of race, gender, culture, media, and psychology during her undergraduate studies, and later received her MA from Tisch School of the Arts. For the past 14 years, Tara has followed the deep call to bridge her holy curiosity in cognition and behavior to the spiritual foundations of mindfulness, immersing herself in the study and practice of collective healing. She is an experienced meditation teacher, founder of a contemplative community, and a curator of transformative sacred spaces dedicated to justice, liberation, and healing practices. Tara has designed and facilitated numerous workshops, launched her healing justice practice, Radical Badichi, you'll have to correct me if I said that wrong, in 2017, helped to seed the first transformative justice cohort in her community, and continues to develop her knowledge, capacity, and skills in service of intersectional justice and abolitionist teaching. We are so excited to be in conversation with her today.
Thank you, Michelle, for that introduction. I sound good when I hear it coming from your mouth. I am Tara Scott Miller. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I am a Black woman with brown skin. My hair is styled in red braids with an undercut, so it is shaved on all sides. I have on large hoop earrings. I have a nose ring, And I'm wearing a dark orange sweater, although my son would say it's red, and it's layered over a navy blue tank top. And I am truly honored to be here representing the Firecracker Foundation as the program director for Sisters in Strength Lansing. But before we go deeper into the conversation, I have to pause. And I have to invite us all to pause, to honor and acknowledge all that we're holding in light of our personal and collective losses. I know that we are here today with and in spite of our heartbreak and heartache. I know that we are here with and in spite of our grief, anguish, and rage, all of which are sacred, worthy of our making space and grace to acknowledge, tend to, and to grant some breathing room to whatever is showing up in our bodies, hearts, and minds right now. And I also know that we are here fueled by love, courage, and deep commitment to this liberatory work. And I'm sitting in the both and everything in between because this is a sacred time of celebration for me. 2 days ago, on the 24th, my family celebrated my grandmother's 89th birthday. And that day also marked the first anniversary of my accepting the call to join the Firecracker Foundation, which celebrated its 7th year in July. And today, the 26th, actually marks the first anniversary of me literally walking into the room to begin seeding connection with the youth in our Sisters in Strength program. But I did not enter that co-learning space thinking of myself as a comrade or co-conspirator. Those are not the precise words that I would have reached for back then to describe who I am or how I approach my vocation. I entered first and foremost as a Black woman who once was a Black girl who has survived a lot. I entered as a Black woman who has been called and committed to blueprinting new legacies of being in loving and transformative relationship with ourselves, with our loved ones, and within the various spaces we call community. I entered as a Black mother and auntie, invested in the wellness and the liberation of my son, my nieces, and nephews. I entered as a Black woman who has for decades been invested and immersed in my own personal healing, and who has been invested and immersed in the study and practice of collective healing, as a Black woman who curates sacred space for soul care and deep curiosity, inquiry, and discernment. So being the word nerd that I am, I got curious about the root of these words, of their essence, and how they can be embodied and practiced and lived into beyond the prescribed written definitions. So as I prepare for this, I've been contemplating what it means to be a comrade, to be a companion. I mean, a word that literally comes from the root of being in a room together, being quartered in a room together. Been contemplating what it means to be a co-conspirator, someone who acts in harmony toward a common end. And the essence of that, to conspire, is to breathe with. And I know that well. This is actually how I have describe my work as a healer, as a spiritual director, as a facilitator of contemplative practices, in my work with Radical Bodhicitta. I've showed up in these spaces as a good spiritual friend, right? Like as a young person, I knew what it meant to be a friend. I've been living into that. We've all been living into that, into friendship. But being a comrade, a co-conspirator wasn't language that was available to me as a youth. But as a good spiritual friend, I am a companion who sits alongside of and breathes with and learns with and holds space with folks in solidarity and harmony toward our common end or our shared values. So I can say, yes, this is who I am in relationships, period. This is how I show up with my youth to co-create our community of accountability and care, by putting our connection first, by organizing first around the quality of our relationships, by creating a space of refuge where they can rest, release, be heard, understood, accepted, and fully embraced, by cultivating the fertile soil out of which trust and accountability and care can grow. So yeah, my youth and I are conspiring together in our healing, our transformation, and our liberation. We are conspiring to protect our imaginations, our hope, our joy, our possibilities, our futures, and our legacies.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much for that. And I apologize for getting your name wrong in the beginning. So just so much appreciation. Appreciate y'all. So we'll move over now to hear from some wonderful, wonderful organizers in the Bay with the Young Women's Freedom Center. And I will start with introducing Najma Douglas, who is a Black mother and community organizer. She stands for the liberation of Black and brown, cis, transgender girls and women and non-gender conforming folks and youth justice. Najma sees so much beauty in life's obstacles and memorable events. With so much practical knowledge, she hopes to take back the Black and brown narrative, gain and maintain financial literacy in communities malnourished, educate young and old on the justice system and how we can use it as a tool in order to affect intergenerational growth and hold herself and each other accountable, responsible for the sole success of our community going forward. She loves advocating and focusing predominantly on the youth for the simple fact that they are today and the future. Black excellence is close to her spirit and a dear, dear part of her heart. She holds herself to high standards so her beautiful children can do the same to continue a lineage of royalty. Through education, conscious knowledge, emotional intelligence, and self-awareness, she is liberating her people. So Najma will go first, and then Julia Arroyo will go second. And Julio is the second generation born stateside in the US and is of Mexican Filipino descent and identifies as Chicana. This work is personal to her, having had an involvement in the underground street economy, foster care, and incarceration. Julia has transformed her life and is committed to supporting a marginalized community of girls to break free from systemic and interpersonal violence. She's currently majoring in women's studies at San Francisco City College, has a background in community health work, rape crisis support, and working with sex workers, sexually exploited youth. They are representing Young Women's Freedom Center today and themselves. We are so excited to be in conversation with y'all. Thank you.
Hi. Go ahead, Michelle. I apologize.
Nope, that's to you. It's all to you. You're good.
Well, welcome all. Thank you so much. Najma, she, her, hers. I'm so grateful to be in community with all of you and be able to take this moment out on a lovely Saturday to do the work that matters. There's always time for the work that matters. To start out, I know there was some questions that were asked of us as those with lived experience and those that are comrades and conspirators with the young folks most affected. To start off, we wanted to know why we should prioritize survivors in this movement. And I believe that it's inevitable. They are the experts. They know what needs to be done to be able to heal and create healing generationally for those that have been impacted today and in the past. I believe with radical solution and accountability to those survivors, we'll be able to center and prioritize those that have been affected the most marginalized, being cis, trans women, girls, and gender nonconforming folks, and will be able to not heal, but create a new beginning for those in the movement. Also, what does intergenerational collaboration look like? Just as Tara touched base on comrades and co-conspirators, how can we collaborate? How can we co-conspire with each other and uplift those that are most affected? Moving in intergenerational spaces, those that are the youngest and the oldest need to be put at the forefront of this movement. And again, they have the answers and they know what is best to be able to navigate this movement to liberation and abolishment of systems that have harmed us and that have brought us down for hundreds of years. And also staying survivor-centered and coming from a place of healing and not harm. When we put healing at the forefront, harm reduction and harm informed and trauma informed will always be able to lead some type of healing throughout the movement as well. Just to highlight some of the work that we're doing here in the Bay Area and at Young Women's Freedom Center, we are based in San Francisco. Our headquarters is in San Francisco, but we do have centers and locations all over California, some being in Oakland, San Jose, LA, and parts of the South, San Bernardino, Modesto. But we do have a Sister Warriors Freedom Coalition that touches base and is more focused on the collaboration of intergenerational spaces and putting gender violence and gender healing at the forefront. And our Sister Warriors are national. Just to uplift some of the charter work and the mission and vision and plan of Young Women's Freedom Center, we do have a Freedom Charter, and it's a 10-year plan to have liberation and abolishment and transform systems. And again, those are predominantly focused and prioritized with our cis, trans, girls and gender nonconforming folks to be able to heal, uplift, and teach and educate those in the movement and our allies alongside the movement. To be able to support these survivors, may you be caregivers, comrades, parents, allies, or fellow survivors, again, we need to prioritize those that are most affected. Being able to heal, reclaim our power, change the narrative, and reshape those that have been impacted will be able to embody self-determination, sisterhood, survivorship, spirituality, and social justice, all in one bundle and ball of life and joy. And I'm going to pass this along to Julia.
Thank you. Thank you, Najma, so much. And thank you all. I just want to first say that I'm moving off of a lonely land, that I'm just recognizing the original caretakers of this land and also the forced land and labor that came from Black and Indigenous folks that currently stand here to this day. And I also want to acknowledge too that I am the direct result of many women's resistance throughout time, starting with my namesake of Julia, which was my grandmother who was born in Oaxaca. And after the Mexican Revolution and the land was taken. And so she started a forced migration up to the States. And I just want to acknowledge her journey, that she was that she went through. And I also want to acknowledge my dog, my husband, and my daughter that are all keeping it cool in the background for me. We're in one room. So yeah. And with that just being said, I wanted to acknowledge all of those because she also experienced a lot of violence coming up here. And by the time she got to the States, she developed a drinking problem. And she also, she was very loud, and she would carry a pistol around with her. She's, rest in peace, she's not alive anymore, but a lot of people would say a lot about her, that she was really loud. And later on, I had, when I got reunited with my family, because I was in foster care, they had told me that, I said, tell me a good story about my grandmother. I want to know good stories. Like, let's celebrate her. And they were like, Mija, she was an amazing woman. Like, she went through, she was the way that she was for a reason. And they said she was loud because women were not heard. And she was loud, and she swore a lot, and she carried around a pistol because she had experienced sexual assault. And she was in fear, and she had enough. And so she walked around this world in a way that not everybody completely understood. And so as I could work out my little nerves and everything, I try and channel her, the original Julia, that was very boisterous and very loud, and took the space that she wanted. And so just talking a little bit about my experience getting in with the Young Women's Freedom Center. I was 15 years old when I got involved, and it was inside a juvenile hall. And I remember Latifah Simon had came in, and she was talking about this crisis that was happening in our communities. This was around like 2000. And she was talking about how crack had impacted our communities, and AIDS and HIV. And she was kind of speaking a little bit of truth to power to some of the things that were happening inside of the community. And something just really, she was really young at the time. She must have been like 19 years old. She was the youngest executive director in the nation, running at the time was Center for Young Women's Development, which is now the Young Women's Freedom Center. And so she came in, and right away, like, I had not seen anybody that was really speaking raw and real. And so something about that stuck out to me. And I later on became involved with the organization, going through some of the programming that they had, and eventually became an employee in 2014, excuse me, as the self-determination coordinator. And somehow, y'all, down the line, they ended up making me one of the site directors there. So I just speak to it being an intergenerational space. It also taking on the, and actually those that are directly impacted, and actually those young folks informing what the work looks like, and actually leading. You know, we're committed to having at least 60% of the staff be under the age of 24. So our youngest employee, I believe, is 15. And so that is my colleague, and so putting people in positions of like real positions, real meaningful economic opportunities, meaningful employment, really those experiences over time really shift the trajectory of like the opportunities that we can have in the end. I'll pause there. Thank y'all.
Thank you all so much. It's really powerful. Can't wait for some Q&A and lusciousness to dig in a little bit more. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Vivian Anderson. First, I'm going to do the introduction. So Vivian Anderson is a distinguished community advocate who has traveled the world developing programs for youth that focus on social responsibility. Her keen ability and cross-cultural sensitivity has allowed her to lead nonprofit startups, their business formation, fund development, and operations. She believes in creating maximum value and results in individual lives and the world. Vivian is the founder of Every Black Girl Inc., The organization emerged as a response to the brutal attack of a Black girl by a school resource officer at Spring Valley High in Columbia, South Carolina in 2015. And today, Every Black Girl Inc.'s work with populations experiencing intersectional oppression, trauma, and responding to high stress environments centers the need of integrating self-care into all elements of the work. The 3 core programs through which Every Black Girl engages girls are weekend programming, Every Black Girl is a Leader, and expanding the girls' worldview. And I know that Vivian has been and Every Black Girl has been such a huge component of supporting families right now during this time of COVID-19. So really excited to be in conversation with you, and passing it over to Vivian.
Well, hello. Hey. So I'm going to say this is an intergenerational conversation, because I'm going to say I'm the elder of the group, right? And this is what it looks like for me. So yes, I'm Vivian Anderson. I'm the founder and executive director of Every Black Girl Inc. As Michelle said, we were founded after assault at Spring Valley. And I'm going to actually do this spiel because I think it's full circle. So I was actually working at GGE at the time when the assault happened, and we were doing work around push out, and we were doing work around what's happening to Black girls in schools. And when I saw the video, I couldn't sleep, because every time I walked in that room, I saw those girls as the girl who was being assaulted. And I was like, I'm teaching these girls this, I'm being with them, but something pulled me to South Carolina. So what I thought was going to be a 2-day trip where I could just go and hug the girls and let them know they were okay, the founder of Girls for Gender Equity said, I saw it in your eyes. You weren't coming back. So my 2-day trip ended up me relocating my life to South Carolina, elevating the Southern Black girl's voice in this national conversation. And when we talk about intergenerational work, one of the things that I'm learning, and I'm actually still learning, is that how to lead and follow at the same time. Because one of the things that I've been doing with a lot of the girls is that, because you said, what does the collaboration look like? Giving them space to have girlhood, but also giving them space to be leaders and knowing when is which. And that's been like, okay, here we go. So I have young people who are ready to go, but then those young people, we keep piling stuff on them. And then I have to pull back and say, no, actually, here's my role in this now. And Julia said it, and where my goal is that when I do have staff, because it's just me right now, but when I do have staff, I want it to be 50%. If it's Black girls, if this is Every Black Girl Inc., 50% of this decision-making around programming should be Black girls, right? That's what I feel. But I think it's my responsibility to deal with all the IRS stuff, all the, that technical stuff. Let them be girls, I'll handle that. Y'all just have this point. So I know I'm all over the place, but y'all have had me so riled up, and I'm thinking of like, this is really what an intergenerational space looks like. And another time is like, recently, we had the 15-year-old in Michigan. I know people saw it when I talk about what it looks like. So there was a 15-year-old girl who was detained because she did not complete her homework, right? So when I went there to see how I can support, what ended up happening was I met some young people, some young Black girls who were like, no, we are young. That could easily be us. So I followed their lead, and I like, what do you need? I can do the backdrop. So when we talk about what is like collaboration and intergenerational collaboration looks like, it looks like that for me. When I went to Michigan, I was there, but I was following their lead. I didn't come and say, you need to do this, you need to do that. I said, how can I support? They were already leading. And then I was able to connect them once again to GGE. Y'all gonna hear GGE over and over again because I just love them so much. But actually elevate them and say, okay, that was what I was supposed to do. I came here, and I think some of this intergenerational conversation around healing, survivorship. So they asked, how did I come into this work? I was born into this work because I'm already a girl who, even before, and I think some other folks said before it became a title, I was a child. One of the things this work did, it had me like actually speak out loud in front of people that I'm a survivor. I'm a child of sexual abuse and I don't talk about it. But how I was able to be with young people because of my experience and like work through them, and then the healing that they provided me. So I think when we talk about intergenerational work, I really believe like we should look at it as like it's the give and receive, not give and take, even give and receive, the reciprocity of it all. Like, how are we in each other's lives? Like, these girls have like wisdom way beyond I would ever, like, they live some stuff I'll never live. But I've come through some places they've come, and how do we come together and hear each other and like really understand I am not in this moment in time. My survivorship is not theirs, because I come from a different space and time. So I was quieted versus young girls where if I was going to give you because somebody asked about what's the best practices and things, if I was going to give them the remedy for my survivorship, it would have been like, just stay quiet, because that's what I was taught. So now in this intergenerational conversation, I get to be with young people and say, what you got to say, what you want me to do, because I won't silence you just because I was silenced. I won't silence you. So I think it's one of those things, there's no one answer to anything. And I always think it's important, no matter what, who's the most impacted should be the one speaking most. So even now when I'm speaking, I'm also speaking from a space where trust and believe. I'm asking the girls, what do you need for survivorship? So a lot of times I may be the one, because I asked them and they said, I'm not ready. And I'm not going to push them until their stories before they're ready, right? And so I think it's like, what's the give and take, like give and receive of everything, the give and receive. And I don't know if I answered all the questions, because I got so caught up in what everybody else was saying that I was just like, yeah. And it's one of those things, I got elder privilege. So y'all get to be with me. I got elder privilege. I'm the elder in the room. And it feels good, because although I'm new to this work in the way you just, like the way it's termed in society now, it's been my whole life. But I'm so honored and grateful that I get to be with all y'all. So I'm going to leave it there so we can just be in conversation with one another.
Thank you so much, Vivian. Appreciate that. Love it. Elder privilege. We're here to listen and be in community with you too. So we have a little bit of time, folks, to be able to actually do some live Q&A. So for those of y'all who are tuning into the Survivors Agenda and also into YouTube, we can take some questions from the chat. And also, I know that our panelists, I had the privilege to sit in dress rehearsal where we were chatting a little bit together, more like a living room or a kitchen table. And folks are really excited about the work that one another are doing. So I would love to just open it up and start over with Tara, who is interested in like sharing some things and has some questions.
Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, to just expand on what has been shared so far, how we embody eldership, elderhood is going to look different, and supporting our youth in recognizing, right, like that they're on a continuum. They are elders to be, and charging them with that possibility of leading, of rising into their leadership, to know that like your eldership can be awkward, your eldership can be goofy, that there's no one way. And I think that has been the challenge for a lot of us, to see ourselves in the work of organizing, of activism, of advocacy, because we have a particular limited idea about what that looks like. And for us to be able to be with them, to be able to expand what that expression and embodiment looks like, to give them the freedom to show up in the way that allows them to be their full selves, to find their voice. I think that's the gift. And when we kind of locate ourselves and our stories and our experiences around where we first experienced this level of collaboration, right? It feels intuitive. We don't even think about it in the way that it's framed, but it was often for us in our homes. For me, just remembering that my siblings and cousins and I, we were a part of decision-making processes. We were part of, the care work that was needed in our families, for better or worse, right? And so to honor where our youth are, particularly for those of us who are working with parenting teens, teens who have been in the foster system, who have had a certain amount of, self-reliance, honoring the fact that, yes, we want to give them the space to play and to be youthful, and to also respect that they're making decisions for other people, for other humans, and to just keep honoring their capacity to keep growing into their understanding of themselves. And, my program is really rooted in these 4 pillars of supporting them to develop legacy skills, because our intergenerational trauma deserves an intergenerational response. And so I lift up them cultivating embodied self-awareness, this really skillful understanding of self. I lift up skillful thinking and communication, so they are developing the capacity to think critically and creatively and collaboratively, to know that we can just put ideas out there and give them breath, even if we don't have it all figured out, that we are supporting even our emerging and unfinished ideas. We are lifting up the pillar of skillful connections. What does that collective care and healthy relationship look like? We are also lifting up skillful action. What does accountability look like before harm has happened? How are we in accountable practice with one another, because we're showing up and bearing witness and holding space, committed to not cause more harm to ourselves and others? And so out of that, we are practicing a reduction of harm, and being able to point them back to that. Like every time that they are protecting a group agreements that they co-created, when they're showing up and practicing those, that we are celebrating that, we are naming that, and marking that as how they're charting their steps, peaks and valleys, through toward eldership.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Anna.
Oh.
Yeah, and so absolutely, right? So they're charting. So when I say I'm the elder, it's not a hierarchy. It's actually really about, I understand I have a responsibility to make sure that I'm letting their voices be heard. Not like, oh, I'm the elder, you do what I say, you do what I, all that they used to tell us. But like, no, until recently, when one of the girls really talked to me and said, like, I know that I'm sometimes I just want to play. Sometimes you ask me to you want me to create the decisions, but I'm looking at you for decisions. And then you're like, no, what do y'all want to do? And she's like, no, I'm really saying, can I just come here and chill? You keep calling me into these meetings. So as an elder, when I say that elder word, it's also me being with myself and all my stuff, right? When I'm like, oh, everybody's so much younger than me and they've been doing this and I should know all these answers, but like really filling it out, saying, so when we talk about what it means to create legacy and create break the generational curses and break all these things. And Julia, has she talked about her grandmother's yeah, we want them to say, here's somebody that gave me this focus, not to take anything away from them, but to say in this moment in time, amplifying and centering youth voices, Black girl voices for me is so important. But I also know I have to also look at the girl who comes in and who's been washing the dishes all day, who had to figure out how they're going to spend groceries, and giving her a space. Right. And so that's when it's when I talk about my role and they ask me, how do I come into this work? What are the things I do? I'm actually learning daily my role, where it's just oh, here's an organization that's just starting up. I know some folks to connect you to. Right. And that's what I'm looking at when I'm when they talk about what the intergenerational work looks like, it's actually looking okay, I know some things. I am a little older. I've had some experience. I am a survivor. I had some other experience. How do I use this without shutting anybody else down and making my experience their experience, but also saying, now, how do we live this experience together so we can have something else look different?
Thank you, Vivian. The pandemic, coronavirus, okay? I believe that everything is always working out in the divine and in due time, and that we are not in control of this. And we have destinies and purposes that we're here to fulfill, knowingly or unknowingly. And so about this time and this moment that we are doing this movement work, that we're doing organizing, policy work, protest, sit-ins, anything that we're doing is perfect timing. It's in the divine. And so what gives me hope so much about this work is that we are able to collab just like this today. We are all over the United States. We are in different time zones. We have different duties. We have different obligations. Our obligations and our duties might be sitting right beside us, might be in the next room, but yet we're able to still do this work. And so it's in the divine that we're still able to do this work during a global pandemic. And so for us being able to meet and collaborate over virtual town halls, plan for political movements, organize to change and transform legislation, it gives me so much hope and so much joy that we're able to still sit and do this work with strategic organizing and include the young folks and include everyone into this and include those that didn't know that this was work and that the people that have been doing this because this is what they're born into, because this is my everyday life, because every day I wake up as a woman, because every day I walk outside and I'm sexualized for what I have on, or I'm stereotyped for how my hair is, or I'm being picked on or have violence against me for who I am, especially being a woman and especially being an Indigenous woman and a woman of color. And so for us to be able to continue to do this work and to see all of you sitting here on this panel, despite what we have going on, because everyone has something going on right now, it gives me so much hope and joy. And I know that we're in our Jubilee and that stuff is conspiring. It's at the fingertips and it's about to pop. And at the front of this movement is our young folks, is our survivors, is those most impacted. And I just want to thank everyone and thank the ancestors for allowing us to continue to be able to do this work and be able to collaborate and conspire nationally and globally. Thank you.
Thank you, Najma. I just wanted to, when everybody was talking, I know that we do this thing called liberation pedagogy inside of the center. So I'm talking about folks coming from all types of, in the trenches, right? Everybody's coming and we're doing this critical education, right? And one of the things we talk about a lot of is like setting up the dojo and like being the sensei, right? And literally like the way it translates is saying that one who comes before. And at times this means something different because in some spaces, somebody may have been in discipline and practice of something long before I have, meaning that a younger person may come in and they may have been in practice of something before me. So I have to be able to step to the side in a way too, and let them be the experts inside of something. And I have to be able to be okay with that piece of it. And I think that that's something that is the beautiful, brilliant piece of it, of us all collectively coming together to do this work, is that where there are places where I have experienced a lot of, I don't know, I come with like a little bit of baggage on mine end, right? Where somebody that's younger, they're coming in with the resistance is there, where I have conformed in a little bit of the way, right? I'm participating a little bit into this, like this system, right? And I just have to acknowledge that the resistance is still there and still fresh. And a lot of really deep social justice movements started with young people being like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And it's like, I see that you're doing it this way. And so just thinking about those spaces that are created where we step to the side and let people be experts in of their own experience and what they have been in discipline and practice of for a long time. And giving them permission for that too, because I remember coming even back to some indigenous practices, right? And I felt like, I'm not gonna do it right, I'm not gonna say it right. And I remember a chief elder had told me, like, this belongs to you. Like these ways of life and living, actually, they belong to you. And so you don't need the permission to practice this. And so I think that sometimes, even as I'm getting older, you know, I have to okay that for somebody else too. Like, this belongs to you. This actually belongs to you, and move with it. And so sometimes it's just giving that permission. And I also just, to wrap it up, I really believe in the 7 generations, that healing myself heals 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. And I also have really appreciated getting put onto the Sankofa also. And so just acknowledging those 2 indigenous practices that I don't know, like, always if I can change something that has already happened, but I do know that the more that I'm in practice for myself, that it will shift and transform. It's like that little stone you throw in the water and then it makes those ripples. So thank you, everyone that is committed to doing this work and does this very selfless work to come out. And we are fighting up against structural things that makes it hard, but together, like, we're strong.
You might not be able to see all of us, but clapping, screaming, yelling. So grateful to be in this community this afternoon with all of you. Thank you, Tara, for being here. Thank you, Najma. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Vivian. We are going to close out now, just holding some of the moments that you have shared, thinking about this belongs to us. Intergenerational organizing is ours. You know, I am, because we are all here together doing this work. And this is what intergenerational organizing looks like. We are learning from one another, taking space to step aside, connecting across land and seas, and just keeping it moving while also holding so much. So I appreciate y'all. I'm taking deep breaths with y'all, sending hugs across lands. And thank you also for our audience for being here today.
Hi, my name is Monica Ramirez, and I'm the founder and president of Justice for Migrant Women. We are proud to join National Domestic Workers Alliance, the Me Too movement, and National Women's Law Center, along with all of our allies, to convene the Survivors Summit. It is a historic occasion where we, the thousands of survivors around this country and across the globe, can bring our ideas and our expertise forward about how to put an end to sexual violence once and for all. Thank you so much for being part of our community, for offering your wisdom, your insight, and your ideas. Together, we will create a world that is free of all forms of violence, including sexual violence. And on behalf of the migrant women who we serve through our organization, we're proud and honored to be walking this journey alongside each of you, and we look forward to the opportunity to collaborate with you, to learn from you, and to grow with you. Thank you so much for all that you do.
Hello to all the participants today in the Survivors Summit. My name is Cecile Richards, and having worked on gender equity issues for my entire life, I'm really grateful to the organizers of this event and for all of you who are participating. It's long past time that we hold our employers, our government, and our culture accountable for sexual assault and violence. And thanks for your courage in being part of this work.
Hello, Survivors Summit. My name is Andrea Johnson, and I am here in solidarity with all of you who have been calling for change. whether it be in your local community or at your state legislature or by showing up today. In my work at the National Women's Law Center, I've witnessed how survivor voices are moving mountains in states and cities all across the country. Just since 2017, when so many of us said Me Too, a remarkable 19 states have strengthened protections against workplace harassment. I am so ready to push for change together and to hold state and local lawmakers accountable to survivors.
Hello, I'm Dr. Sekou Sibi, President and CEO of Iraq United. I'm also a husband to my beautiful wife and have 3 wonderful children. Racial and economic inequality in the restaurant industry, where women, people of color, and immigrants are the majority of workers, perpetuates harassment in the workplace. In solidarity, I am calling for all of us to stand together and fight harassment and sexual violence against women. Every effort is critical. Every voice should be heard. Every person deserves respect and dignity.
Hello to the participants of the Survivors Summit. My name is Alejandra Castillo, and I'm the CEO of YWCA USA, the largest network of domestic and sexual violence service providers in the U.S. I'm thrilled to offer my support to all of you watching in this unique and needed space. COVID-19 has exacerbated domestic and sexual violence incidents across the nation and has highlighted the importance of investing in resources for survivors of violence. Sexual violence thrives in secrecy. Most sexual violence occurs between people who know each other, and perpetrators are taking advantage of those disconnected from their regular activities and support networks, such as a place of work, school, places of worship, and community groups. Increased stress as a result of the pandemic has led to severe trauma reaction among survivors. As COVID-19 puts thousands of people out of work, it threatens survivors' access to safe shelter in their homes. Sometimes perpetrators are landlords or employers who threaten eviction or termination by leveraging desperation of survivors who want to remain safe in their homes and employed, as well as by accessing sexual extortions from vulnerable people. It's also sending abusive partners back home and taking away from their very limited opportunities that survivors have to access resources and their support network. Responding to survivors' emergency needs, including medical and legal services, has become much more difficult. At YWCA, we have seen increased calls to our hotline, increased needs for emergency and transitional housing. Federal lawmakers need to immediately pass an economic relief package that provides significant support for nonprofit human service organizations like YWCA so that we can continue to do our part to support survivors during this pandemic and beyond. YWCA works in over 1,200 communities across the country to provide services like emergency shelter and housing for survivors, counseling services, call centers, and to provide crucial services. It's time that we all support the needs of those who have experienced sexual violence. I thank you for this honor to speak to you.
Hello to the participants of the Survivors Summit. My name is Teresa Younger, and I'm the President and CEO of the Ms. Foundation for Women. I'm thrilled to offer my support to all of you watching. This is a unique and needed space. It is time that we all support the needs of those of us who have experienced sexual violence. At the Ms. Foundation, we believe that we have the answers to help and heal our communities and the power to change the policies to make that happen. And this is our chance. Thank you. We're listening.
Hi, my name is Louise Godbold. I'm the Executive Director of ECHO, a nonprofit that supports trauma survivors. I myself am a Weinstein survivor. One thing I know about trauma is that we lost power and control during the principle of trauma recovery is to regain our power and control over our lives, our recovery, and our narrative. That's why I support the work of the Survivors Agenda.
Hi to everyone virtually attending the Survivor Summit. My name is Lark Lewis, and I am here to show support for all of the survivors watching and participating in the summit. This is such a powerful and much needed space for anyone deserves to live a life where they feel safe, loved, and protected, and that is exactly what the Survivor Summit is starting to create.
Hello, hola, y bienvenidas y bienvenidos al Survivor Summit. Soy Elisa Batista, una directora de campañas con la organización feminista Ultraviolet. Estamos muy agradecidas que han llegado a este evento. Nosotras creemos que cuando atendemos a las necesidades de los sobrevivientes del acoso y violación sexual, nosotros todos beneficiamos, no solamente en este país, pero todo el mundo. Hello, my name is Elisa Batista, and I'm a director of campaigns with the feminist organization Ultraviolet. We are so grateful that you're here with us today. As survivors ourselves, we believe that when we understand and tend to the needs of all survivors, we tend to the needs of all, not just in our country, but all over the world.
Okay, hello everyone, welcome. My name is Ayla Mansman and I'm the Youth Organizing Director at Safe Bay. I'm so excited to be presenting for all of you today. I am based in Maine. This is my second year at Safe Bay and I am 16 years old. As I said, I am presenting alongside Everett Jackson. We are presenting on behalf of Safe Bay and I will let him introduce himself.
Good afternoon, I'm Everett Jackson. I'm the Assistant Education Director at Safe Bay. I am based in Texas. I'm so excited to be presenting today. We've got lots of great information and we're just ready to share that with you. At any point, if you have questions, please submit them to the Survivors Agenda website where our moderator and our Executive Director, Shell, is gonna have them ready for us to review and answer for you. We would like to start off by addressing and thanking all of our supporters who have shown up for us in the past month.
Many of you here with us today may have come to learn about our work through the recent passing of our co-founder, Daisy Coleman. We just wanted to thank everyone for their outpouring of support and love, and also send our gratitude to Survivors Agenda for convening this gathering to build a safe community in which we can prevent a tragedy like this from ever happening again.
Safe Bay was founded off the back of the Netflix documentary, Audrey and Daisy, which follows the girls' stories and specifically Daisy's path to advocacy, also known as Safe Bay. Safe Bay is the only national survivor-founded youth-led organization working to prevent sexual harassment and assault in middle school and high school.
We help promote culture change by giving teens the tools to become activists and shift school culture through raising awareness about dating violence, sexual harassment and assault, affirmative consent, safe bystander intervention, survivor care, and their rights under Title IX.
As an organization, we pride ourselves on working with young people around the country to inform and lead utilizing all of our content and materials. When a young person says that a specific topic is really important to them or has caused harm to their community, we work with them to build a resource for young people to further explore that topic.
Along with Ayla and Everett, they all work together on it.
By talking about these topics, they are raising awareness and preventing future incidents from occurring.
As someone who is still in high school, it is really cool that I get to be a part, and I know I'm a part of a larger movement. Even though I'm young, I'm still doing really impactful work. And that is a space we want to invite more youth to get involved in. We know every young student is impacted by sexual harassment or violence in one way or another. And we have several different ways that youth can become active advocates in this work. Our name for our youth ambassadors is Bay Breakers, but there are many different kinds of Bay Breakers. Our first youth ambassador program is our chapter lead program. Students can start a school chapter or add our materials to a pre-existing club. These students are working to change the culture of their school and community, to eradicate rape culture, and build a culture of consent. Our chapter leads work with their club members to become leaders in their communities by using our materials to host actions and educational campaigns in their schools. But we also look to them to tell us what materials we don't have yet and what they would like to help us build. So each youth ambassador is not only leading locally, but if they're inclined, they can lead among our national team as well. We are here to provide engagement opportunities for all levels of youth advocates.
Many of our activists start their advocacy with a small school chapter and build their work from there. We provide an extensive collection of resources and a variety of ways to get involved. That way, each advocate can decide the best fit for them.
The next type of Bay Breaker is our certified peer educators. This is brand new for us and is our flagship program for this year.
Before anyone else, the Daisy Coleman Culture Consent Peer Certification Training. It is a first of its kind, on-demand, virtual, and an entirely free program students can use to become trained educators. We already have hundreds of people registered, and we are hoping the campaign takes off throughout the country. Students also have the chance to win prizes throughout this new program. Another kind of bay breaker is our policy reform leaders.
They are taking our step-by-step guide to their school administrators, leading the effort in their district to implement model sexual misconduct policies in order to protect students. And finally, our more seasoned bay breakers often come back to become mentees in our departments. We love having mentees because they know how we run as an organization and we get to stick to our youth-led roots.
Now that we've shared all of the ways that students can become engaged as youth ambassadors, we want to share several of our materials and campaigns. Today, we will take a look at the good and bad parts of social media and technology. Social media and technology are everywhere and something that we cannot escape. So we hope to acknowledge all the good and bad pieces of technology while hopefully introducing you to a new, positive way to engage on social media.
So often the internet, particularly for survivors, is an incredibly dangerous and harmful place where re-victimization happens. But we are determined to change that and invite survivors to a safe space where they can find resources and feel supported by one another. When we began, one of the very first things we focused on was online harassment towards survivors. It is something that each of our co-founders experienced, so it was so important to us that we face the issue head on and remove the stigma around reporting. In response, we created the hashtag #QuitThisShit campaign and short PSA. There's also a non-explicit version for use in schools.
Many survivors that we work with and talk to say that the after effects of them reporting their assault was worse in many ways compared to the assault itself. Many survivors can relate to this video for that reason.
Okay.
Along with this campaign, we wanted to provide a resource for people to be able to be active bystanders online as well. Gifts for Good, a campaign which gives young people the tools to virtually respond to online harassment and bullying with just the click of a button. With a full library to choose from, you can pick any gift from something funny and light to something a bit more serious.
By doing this work, we are able to grow our partnerships and advocate community, and we're invited by Teen Vogue to co-create another video to help raise awareness about the online re-victimization of survivors.
The uplifting message of this video is a call to action to all young people. Take the negative parts of social media and turn them around to become empowered together.
Okay, in just a moment, we will be playing the Teen Vogue video. Okay. There seems to be some technical difficulties, but we will move on. So we use the Teen Vogue video as a way to gather young people behind a stronger force. Oh.
Bros before hoes. Shut up.
Here it is.
Why were you out? When? What was she expecting to happen? Basically, like, what did you do to have this happen? After I was raped, I just assumed that I had to have been someone that just deserved something like that.
I feel like victim blaming is so prevalent in our society because people find it so hard to believe that someone that they love and care about could do something so awful as assaulting or raping someone.
People start with questioning the victim rather than telling them that they believe them and that they support them. It always starts with what they had to do and how they partook in the assault.
I wish people would have asked me my story. It's much easier for them to blame the girl that's saying, hey, this guy did something wrong to me.
Very common misconception is that there has to be all these right answers for a survivor.
Women oftentimes are expected to watch their drinks, don't set them down.
All these little underlying things that people use as exceptions for rape.
Watch what you're wearing, watch where you go, and if you don't, then it's your fault that you were assaulted or raped, which isn't true at all.
The Jada Post hashtag that was created was when the guy who posted the pictures of the assault on the internet made a post mimicking the stance that I was laying in, tagged me in it, and it went viral.
It really kind of bothered me when I heard that there was a video and that people were talking about it because I felt like you don't get a say in what the world sees of you, so I felt really alone.
There were lots of posts about me. Why would you lie about this? This is not true, like stuff like that.
And when it's cyberbullying instead of face-to-face, there's no escaping it.
Everyone's on the internet. Our generation, that's all we do is just social media. So
their friends started making comments about it. Friends of the family started making comments about it.
Random people that I didn't know who would just retweet it and make it bigger than what it was.
And I felt like I couldn't go out in public or else people would be talking about me. And I felt like I couldn't just be myself anymore.
They'd pop up on the screen and I'd read them and I'd spiral into like this deep rage and self-harm and destruction.
I had to delete all my accounts so I couldn't defend myself.
They were just deciding off the bat who I was based off of all these rumors, and so that was a lot of damage to my own self-esteem because I felt like I wasn't worth getting to know. Now that more people are coming forward, more people are noticing that this has been a problem and that we can't just keep fighting each other. We have to come together and work on this.
At one point, I just realized that anyone that is saying those things over social media, it is their issues, not yours.
That's when I decided to make hashtag I'm Jada.
To rise above it and just stay strong to who you are and know that
this is who I am.
You're okay.
Liar.
Slam piece.
Slut.
Bros before hoes.
Shut up.
We're gonna get
quiet.
Who?
Why were you out?
When?
What was she expecting to happen?
Basically, like, what did you do to have this happen? After I was raped, I just assumed that I had to have been someone that just deserved something like that.
I feel like victim blaming is so prevalent in our society because people find it so hard to believe that someone that they love and care about could do something so awful as assaulting or raping someone.
People start with questioning the victim rather than telling them that they believe them and that they support them. It always starts.
Okay, we use the Teen Vogue video. We use the Teen Vogue video as a way to gather young people behind a stronger force. Now young people are encouraged to use social media for good and take down trolls. Our evolving repertoire of videos sparked an idea for these following two videos. And now I believe we will play, if we can, play the Quit This Shit video. Okay.
One of our bait breakers.
You go, Evan.
One of our bait breakers expressed sending nudes and sharing without permission was a big issue.
After I was raped, I attempted suicide. I woke up in the hospital to these messages.
Attention whore. You want me to read this out loud?
go ahead and show your face at school.
I will make your life hell.
If an innocent, promising guy goes to jail for your lie.
You're worth nothing, skank. You won't get away with this.
My sister wasn't the only person in my family that was affected by rape.
Fucking slut. Who told her to drink? She asked for it.
This shit happens, we all know it. Be responsible.
I got these texts all day and every day after I was drugged and assaulted.
You deserve to be dead, bitch.
Nobody will ever believe you.
You were a slut before we even had sex.
Hang yourself next time you tried to take the pussy way out.
It's a shame you woke up.
Do your fam a favor and do it for real.
Survivors of sexual assault get messages like these every day, non-stop.
But you can do something to stop it. You can quit the shit talking.
You can decide to not talk shit and put an end to the re-victimization of sexual assault survivors over social media.
Quit this shit.
Quit this shit.
Quit this shit.
Quit this shit. Quit this shit. Quit this shit.
So, as I said, our evolving repertoire of educational videos sparked this following idea from one of our chapter leads.
Our Bay Breaker expressed sending nudes and sharing without permission was a big issue on her campus, and she wanted to talk about it. In response, we spent the following months preparing and building a campaign with her, where she got to see her version of nude awareness come true, that you will see in the following PSA.
Sharing sexual images is a choice, and it's one that basically every adult will tell you not to make. But it's happening. So let's make things super clear.
Sending or receiving nude photos, videos, or content of anyone under the age of 18 is legally considered distribution, possession, or reception of child pornography in every U.S. state.
If a teacher or school official finds underage nudes on your phone, they're required by law to report it to the police.
And seriously, guys, do not send nudes no one is asked for.
Sending nudes is a choice. You have to decide on your own, without anyone pressuring you.
Do I really need to say it again? Do not send nudes no one is asked for.
Before sending, consider how you would feel if somebody you didn't want to see your picture actually saw it.
Sending nudes can also result in...
If you don't send me nudes, I'll tell everyone what a bitch you really are.
Oh my god, Jessica showed the cheer squad your eggplant emoji pic.
We're not saying never send nudes. We just want to make sure you've thought it through. Why are you sending it? Can you trust the person you're sending it to?
Do you feel pressured by someone to send one?
Are you sending them because you're afraid the person you're with will break up with you if you don't?
I also just want to remind everyone that if someone sends a nude to you and you send it to someone else without their permission, you're not only a total jerk,
But you're also breaking the law and could be placed on the registered sex offender list for life.
so think before you send.
There are so many good parts to social media. Social media allows for communities to gather, to have conversations behind topics of certain interest. Education and talking among a shared audience builds for community support and positivity. Sexual assault prevention is just one of the many topics discussed online.
Safe Bay uses social media to build community, share resources, and educate our online audiences.
There are many different ways our Bay Breakers use social media and technology. It really depends on what type of Bay Breaker they are.
Our chapter leads, for example, create local social media accounts which highlight the issues specific in their school, town, or community. Our most recent and definitely different endeavor has been the Safe Bay app. Initially launched to help virtually register young people who attended our in-person summit in Maine, but we have more recently built the app to be a landing ground for Bay Breakers to network, review resources and materials, and share ideas for ways to build and expand our organization. As all of our materials are also fully accessible through the app, users are able to communicate with our core team as well as each other. They're able to build points for each of their actions, which they can then cash in for prizes. And there are extensive hotline resources listed on the app as well.
And we are most excited to be able to provide students with an anonymous reporting button in partnership with their schools. This allows students to access as many safe reporting options as possible.
And did we mention that all of our programs, resources, and materials are 100% free? Not only free to students, but also free to schools as well.
We are dedicated to removing any and all obstacles any survivor or ally would have to gaining access to our materials and joining our team.
We know that marginalized and underserved communities are most in need of our free content, and we are committed to serving everyone. So now we will move on to the question portion of this presentation. So any of the questions that you submitted into the Survivors Agenda website, we will have Shale, our moderator, come on and present those questions for Everett and I to answer. Okay, Shale.
Hi there, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, yay.
Yep.
So we have a couple of questions coming in. One was how can I find out more information about the peer training and where to sign up?
You can actually go to our website,
yeah, so we were just Okay, we were just about to get there at the very end, but our website, www.safebay.org, has all of our forms that can be filled out regardless of what type of Bay Breaker you want to be. All the options are listed with extensive details on the website for you to review.
Okay. And then we have, do you only work with high school students? Are there any opportunities for college students?
Everett, do you want to answer that one?
Yes. So we do offer, we do work with college students as well as high school and middle school students. We encourage anyone who wants to stop teenage sexual assault to come and be a part of our team.
And more specifically, our mentee program is specifically built and primarily built for college students. As we said, it's our seasoned Bay Breakers, so students that have graduated from high school who are looking to stay involved in the organization. We highly recommend looking into the mentee program, but also our Bay training as well. I would highly recommend to any college student to look into the Bay training, taking all those courses and levels and to become certified to present to any high school student, middle school student. That's another great opportunity to get involved as a college student.
Another question is, our community readiness level is very low when it comes to addressing rape and abuse directly. Do you have resources that are good for these communities as well?
I can answer that one. So we have a ton of materials and a ton of resources on our website, on our social media. I really find that by simply encouraging others to follow us on social media is a really great way to introduce your peers and your community to these conversations where it's not so abrupt, but these topics are being discussed. They can sort of introduce themselves into this survivor advocate and survivor community. And they can see all the people that do this work become empowered and inspired by all the young people around the country advocating for this. And all of the materials are totally available for adults, parents, teachers, as well, to share with any child in their life.
Let's see. How can we help keep students safe as young as elementary school, especially during distance learning? I work at an elementary level.
That's a great question. Everett, do you want to answer that, or I can?
I believe that keeping children safe at a distance learning level it's always about checking in. I'm an educator as well. I teach middle school. And so I often just do check-ins with my students every week. I'll do a check-in with different students each day.
I think that really, I was just gonna add that I think that really touched for PEACE, which is, sorry? Okay, I was just gonna add that when it comes to talking to young students in elementary school, middle school, topics such as consent, that doesn't have to be a sexual conversation, a sexual topic. Consent is much more simple than that and can be taught at a much younger age. Simply by saying, "Can I have a hug?" You're giving that young person autonomy over their body and the decisions they make with their body, and they get to choose if they want to give that person a hug or not. Can I borrow that toy? There's really simple ways to talk about consent, and that really opens the doors to further communication that young people can access as they grow older.
What if my school doesn't know anything about Title? It isn't providing things to students who disclose. What can I do?
Sorry, you were breaking up there. Do you mind repeating that, Shao?
What if my school doesn't know anything about Title IX rights and isn't providing things to students who disclose? What can I do?
Okay, so I do not want to pose as a Title IX expert, but I do know that Title IX is a federal law. So if your school's a public school, takes federal funding, then it is a law that they have to follow. Every school should have a Title IX resource officer and responder, and that's someone that you can maybe reach out to. It should be listed on every school or district website. But you can also get in touch with Shael, our executive director, SHAEL at safebay.org, who can help you navigate that a little bit further when it comes to who to talk to, how to talk to them about raising awareness and making sure that your rights are fulfilled under Title IX.
One other is, you mentioned policy reform. Can you tell us about some of the details about how to change our policies and why that's important?
Yeah, of course. So a really great way to, so what I always say is policy reform is really great, really important, but it isn't there to tackle culture change. That's more in curriculum and starting a Safe Bay Club, where you can have this dialogue about these topics with your peers. That will really affect culture change. But policy reform is a really great way to make sure that survivors' rights are being fulfilled in a safe way that is fair to all parties involved. So a really great way to kind of kickstart that process is by looking into what school administrators maybe work with that, maybe work with Title IX. So your Title IX officer, but also your school board is a really great place to approach, a really great group to approach when you want to do policy reform in your district. I know that's what I did, asking for policy reform, and we have a whole list of it's basically a step-by-step guide of how to lead policy reform in your district, and we will have that coming out, that program coming out. We're working on it with a group of young people right now, and that will be ready for you to access probably in the next couple weeks. Do we have any other questions, Shale?
It doesn't look like we have any other questions. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for moderating. Okay, so we will take the last little bit of time to wrap up. I am so happy that I had this opportunity to present for all of you today. You have been a wonderful audience, so thank you. I highly encourage you to check out our website. Like I said before, it's www.safebay.org.
Make sure you sign up for our newsletter. Make sure you sign up for our newsletter at the bottom of the homepage. And just stay up to date on all of the new and exciting things we have coming. We will be hosting virtual summits again this year in partnership with youth leaders and local service agencies around the country, and we are always looking for more partners. So if you want to get involved with our work or join one of our programs,
you can email us, follow us on social media. We have Everett and I, our Safe Bay emails there. But in the Instagram handles, we have Safe Bay, Safe Bay's handle, mine, and Everett. So please follow us on Instagram, reach out, DM us. Like I said before, I run the chapter lead program. So if that's something that you're interested in getting involved in, if you know a student that would be a really great chapter lead, please reach out. I'm the person to reach out for that. And Everett, if you're interested in joining our peer educator program or our Bay training program, Everett is the person to reach out to for that as well. But all together, all of our resources, all of our materials are totally free on our website. At any time, please access them, use them. They're there for you to look through.
We welcome you to join our survivor and advocate community.
Yes, please do. We had such a lovely time presenting for you today. Thank you so much, Survivors Agenda, and please be in touch.
Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley here, representing the Massachusetts 7th Congressional District. I want to begin by thanking the Survivors Agenda for convening us today. It is both an honor and a privilege to join you in virtual community. Now, for generations, survivors and advocates have fought to shine a light on harassment and abuse. We have shown up, we have marched, we have told our stories. We know that most of the work doesn't take place in public. It is in the late night phone calls when our trauma wraps us up in a chokehold. It is in the tearful conversations whispered in confidence. It is the slow and steady work of helping each other heal and rebuild. I speak from personal experience when I say the path often isn't linear. For many, getting to that first step can take years, if they ever arrived there. At times, we find ourselves on the precipice of a political or cultural breakthrough, it seems. Folks are often inclined to claim a lucky break, a strike of lightning, or a once-in-a-generation moment. But behind every breakthrough, every movement that caught fire and captivated the nation, there are hours of sweat equity invested in the struggle for justice. Now, as we work towards a more just nation, it is critical that we fortify ourselves with a vivid image of what the future looks like. A day to come where we walk amongst our brothers and sisters in community in a nation that lives its values out loud, a world that not only believes survivors and centers their struggle for justice, but also holds consent, bodily autonomy, and liberation and safety as the standard. I've said to survivors at organizing meetings, in personal conversations, and on the floor of the House of Representatives that what I want for every survivor is justice. I firmly believe that justice is a critical step in our healing as individuals and as a survivor tribe. We know that statistics are startling. Less than 1% of perpetrators are brought to justice in a court of law. But when I speak of justice, the future I dream of is not actually defined by the confines of a courtroom or even trauma-informed judges on the bench, though yes, that would be a victory. The justice I seek is bolder. I seek a world where survivors are believed and validated and supported. I also want a world where within a generation, the number of those impacted by sexual violence plummets. I reject any narrative that says that we as a society have to tolerate this behavior. When we look at what informed policy has done to stave off deaths caused by drunk driving or gun violence, at least in developed countries aside from the United States, I am emboldened. I dream of a world where consent is taught at the youngest age, where we invest in breaking down the intersectional barriers of systemic oppression and abject poverty that too often leave folks rendered voiceless, and a world where we provide the economic opportunity and mobility that enables strong, healthy relationships and communities that can protect us in moments of vulnerability. Our stories, the inflection points of the survivor community organizing, and our collective power, they matter. As a survivor, I struggled for years to tell my own story, and I know how it feels to be a survivor in a country where believing and supporting survivors has become a partisan issue, where survivors are made to feel marginalized and ostracized, where we've had to weaponize our very traumas just to be seen, heard. I share my story because it is part of my own ongoing healing, and because I know that sharing my story can provide others with agency too. Since I began sharing my story publicly, I've been humbled and moved by how many survivors approach me to share their stories, folks from every station in life and every background. At a walk for the Boston Area Rape Crisis Center, which I've participated in every year for a decade now, a woman approached me, and she told me that hearing my story encouraged her to tell her daughter and her husband about the assault that she'd experienced decades ago. In fact, she had been coming to this march, this walk for years, supporting her daughter who was a survivor. And her daughter didn't know all along that her mother was a survivor too. Experiencing assault can send us reeling, make us feel voiceless, marginalized in deep and dark ways that I still struggle to put words to. But I know in my own healing, reclaiming my agency over my story has been an important part of my moving forward. Survivors should be able to disclose when, how, and whom they want to. A colleague confided to me how liberated he felt when a friend reminded him that he is in control of whom he discloses to. There is no shame, no fault for him to hold, and it should be his choice when he's called upon to share his story. Assault steals our agency, so reclaiming our agency as we heal is critical. It does not get easier to disclose. The phrasing comes to me in a way that feels familiar now, but the words cut deep all the same every time. During my 2018 congressional campaign, many times well-intended journalists would engage me in a line of questioning that amounted to relitigating the details of my childhood sexual abuse and campus sexual assault. In those moments, I would aim for composure and grace, reminding myself that the public life I've chosen brings with it intrusive questions all the time. I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel like a second violation. Those interviews would be triggering and at times very frustrating for me and members of my staff who are also survivors. They would feel outraged at the line of questioning, and I would feel vulnerable. In those moments, I would try to remind myself that this is why we need survivors in positions of power and influence everywhere. We know that we carry our lived experiences into every space that we occupy. Creating real change requires continued movement and coalition building. It requires that more elected leaders listen to their constituents and keep themselves in close proximity to the pain. And it demands systemic change to ensure that our institutions of power more accurately reflect the diversity and lived experiences of those in our communities. Simply put, we belong everywhere, and our truths deserve to be whispered in the corridors of power and shouted from rooftops. We belong at every table where decisions are being made about our lives, our livelihood, and our justice. Our lives, our stories, our struggles, and our healing matter. Audre Lorde reminds us that when we liberate ourselves, we liberate others too. Our movement builds when we elect survivors. Each time our government takes a step toward representing and valuing the diverse lived experiences of the American people, our policy becomes sharper, crisper, more responsive. Because when those with relevant firsthand experiences ask pointed questions, the air shifts, the conversation changes. It does not mean that we aren't still healing. It does not mean that we don't still simultaneously hold fears and hopes and a deep sense of responsibility. But every survivor that sits upon the dais, leads proceedings in a committee hearing, or calls for a federal investigation acts not only on their behalf, but on behalf of thousands who are united through a shared experience. Real and lasting change can take hold as we claim our seats at the tables of power. And believe me, we are just getting started.
Check 1 2 1 2. I am Jamla Records, Rock Nation representative, Rhapsody. We appreciate you coming to the event today. Respect, appreciation, support of women, black women, ladies all across the world, sisters. I just want to talk to you if it's all right. And since we all came from got our name from and I gained from a woman, I wonder why we take from her, why we brothers, I love you, I love you. I hate to know some of you treat us like Glover. Black Card Revolt, maybe you could use Discover. Define yourself, do you feel the same way about your mother? Do you overlook our beauty, but you love it on all the others? Hope you teach your daughters all to stay away from suckers like yourself if you don't love yourself. I'm so southern, I was taught to feed the soul with or without hot ovens. Here's a plate. Know your hate come from a black man's struggle. We all in the same shape, so I know I fit your puzzle. Either way, we got your back, we only pray you be our muscle. Strength in the times, we all overcome with trouble. Every day we pulling doubles for ourselves and home. My mom and daddy taught me early on, protect your own. We never stop loving you, so turn your love back on. And I pray you feel the same way as that Tupac song. We ain't your hoes or your bitches. Trophies are meant for pimping. Recognize a gift from God, always a birthday or a Christmas to protect our lives. You gonna take it to the limit? Rib about rib, do you still feel the same you sing? Got our name and our game. I wonder why we do it. Play that thing, Duran. That's since we all got a and that's right. I wonder why we take from our, why we rape our, do we hate our? PJ told me to tell you that. Yeah, where would you be, fellas, if we weren't here with you? If you don't hear nobody say it, ladies, please know we The way you walk, the way you talk, sisters. And then we got brilliant minds. There ain't nobody better, yeah. Peace and love to the sisters. But let's turn it up a notch and tell them again about the real. What? Y'all bogus. Real goofy. I ain't never lost focus. What? Hey. The dark flesh, Bob Marr, speak mine. What you thought them 99 problems was? War on drugs, legality. They got us on fallacies. Recorded in casualties. I was supposed to resort in the Maldives now. We in the rallies now. Boxing the IG now. Boxing the IG in the memory. Pouring Hennessy and boom, boom, shot. Reaching for the ID. Get on my neck, nigga, unless you Cuban link. I think like the Cubans think. You never get a side or back. Got your back, T. Mallory. Carry on like a Prada bag. Dogs with me like they caught a lab in the backseat of a patrol car. That's luck. They ain't called a coroner. Should be Hall of Fame. Corridor. The way we run it back. You think it's 63? I think it's 63s. 180 degrees. Get your shit straight. Mr. Police did the same thing. The co-chief did the same thing. The Raheem do the same thing. In our reality, I got